Good Saturday morning, everyone. Today on Perspectives, Mobile Mayor Sandy Stimpson is here to enlighten us on a variety of topics that he and the Port City's leadership have at the top of their list, such as the economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic to the plan to reduce gun violence among our youth. We also talk with the mayor about economic initiatives such as the renewal of talks to revisit the new I-10 bridge project and the return of passenger rail service via Amtrak. On the crime front, several weeks ago, the Mobile Police Department launched Operation Enough. According to police, narcotics units and other law enforcement details in every precinct are targeting areas that are hotspots for crime. MPD reports that more than 20 guns have been taken off the streets of Mobile since the initiative began, and there have also been increased arrests. Mayor Stimpson is also working towards getting more body cameras for all city police officers. In economic news, talks are continuing to bring back the Amtrak train service from Mobile to New Orleans by next year. The train will link cities across the Gulf Coast for the first time in more than 16 years. It's all a part of a plan to make the old Brookley Field a major transportation hub, including airlines as well as a train service, since passengers would board Amtrak from that location instead of the Mobile Convention Center. The idea is to create a passenger rail service twice a day with a goal of some 38,000 riders a year. Now, reaction among Mobilians is mixed.
I might do it just for the novelty of it, to be honest with you. I don't think I would do it regularly, though.
It would be a great asset to the city.
Speaking of travel, the Interstate 10 Bayway improvement idea has been dusted off and looked at again by state and city leaders. Now, this time around, several appointed groups have been looking at a downsized project that proposes a truck-only toll bridge, along with adding a third lane in each direction of the Bayway. Supporters say that it could increase traffic flow by 40% without imposing tolls on existing routes. But commercial carriers would pay anywhere from $10 to $15 on all trucks 46 feet or longer. Also this morning, we'll get the mayor's ideas on how to revive the local economy after the COVID-19 pandemic. Restaurants, gyms, and other people-related service industries have been hardest hit. And Governor Kay Ivey has lifted the mask mandate. The question, is it enough? Our guest this morning, Mayor Sandy Stimpson, whose vision for Mobile is to become the safest, most business and family-friendly city in America. Now, where is the Port City now after facing so much since March of 2020? Perspectives continues in just a moment. Mobile Mayor Sandy Stimpson joins us this morning on Perspectives. And Mayor Stimpson, great to see you and glad that you had an opportunity to be with us this morning.
It's good to be here, Eric.
Let's talk about this last year. What a year for not just Mobile, the county, the state, but of course our nation and the world when we talk about dealing with the pandemic. Give us your assessment of where we are today considering what we've been through the last year.
So if you think back a year ago, Eric, I think of the confusion, the unknown, the uncertainty, but you know what that led to was just unprecedented cooperation and collaboration and coordination in the city. When I say that, I think of the partnerships that were generated from that, how we came together to buy PPE, share PPE, what we did in the area of testing, what the city of Mobile did in teaming up with the University of South Alabama Health Center, you know, in order to do the vaccines and the testing and the vaccines, what all of our hospitals did, infirmary health systems. So anyway, as you look back over the last year, I think Mobilians need to be proud of how we came together to try to fight this battle.
Were you all at all surprised about the numbers here locally? And of course, in the state, it seemed to be us currently behind Jefferson County. In one moment there, Mobile was one of the worst places in the state as related to the cases. Were you surprised at how that happened?
Well, when you say surprise, you know, I think that as this thing unfolded and as data kept coming in, you know, yes, there were days when we thought, well, what is going on right now? What's different? Why the numbers look like they are? But at the end of the day, I think the amount of testing that was going on in the individual counties weeks, you could all of a sudden surge in Mobile County compared to another county because the lack of testing somewhere else. But as we look back over a year ago, there are certain things that we have in Mobile that I think that probably contributed to where we are, but still we did a good job looking back on it again, fighting this virus.
The governor has lifted the mandate on the mask for the state, but your two sister cities, Birmingham and Montgomery, have both left theirs in place. Your feelings on this?
Well, I think it's really up to the individual to do that, and for those that are in certain places where they know that people would want them to be wearing masks, or and you go into a business and the business is requiring the mask be worn, I think that all of our citizens should be respectful of that. But everybody at this point in time understands the risks that are involved, and so I think it's a personal responsibility at this time.
Do you think that we've moved beyond that politicizing the mask and we now understand our personal responsibility?
Eric, I don't know if we'll ever move beyond completely politicizing of it. I think the entire process throughout, whether it was the testing, the vaccinations, the wearing a mask, a lot of that has been politicized. But I do think that everybody does understand that it's personal responsibility as we go forward.
One of the surveys by the New York Times is saying that our cases are down, our hospitalizations are up a bit, deaths about the same, but we're considered high risk on that particular COVID-19 info site. Are there some things that we're concerned about right now as it relates to a possible surge again?
Well, as we go into the summer months and go into actually spring break was actually last weekend, but then you come up Memorial Day, all of those could be spreader events or super spreader events, and until we start getting some data here in the next couple of weeks regarding spring break and what we see in the aftermath of the Memorial Day weekend, I think that really we just got our fingers crossed at this point in time, and again relying on individuals to do the social distancing and wearing of the mask as they see that they should.
I think we've talked about in the past how our location puts us in one of those type of spots because of the beaches and of course the close proximity of Mississippi and Florida. We're all kind of in this together, so to speak.
I would agree with you. We are. Yeah.
Now, Mayor Stimpson, let's take a look at how we did overall. Give us an assessment of the economy for the city, considering what we've been through this last year.
So, some of the things that we did early on, Eric, and this really came from the governor's office, but when businesses were shut down, we were trying to thread that needle to make sure that, to the degree that we could, that our businesses stayed open. At the same time, understanding that we had a pandemic on our hand. One of the things that comes to mind is that there were a lot of winners and losers chosen, by the orders that came down. And that wasn't just in Alabama, that was across the nation. But we also found out there are a lot of people that slipped through those cracks. And in the city of Mobile, we tried to reach out and give economic incentives to those, that were dropped through the cracks. And so that was just one of the things that we did to try to keep our economy going.
With those incentives as well as some of the CARES Act funding, do you think that we'll see some of those businesses able to come back?
Well, I think that there's some that are probably were on the cusp initially, and I'm not sure that they will come back. But there have been new businesses created. During the pandemic, there's some businesses that have never been as successful as they've been over the last year. And at the end of the day, when you look at what's happened with the revenues for the city, which are directly related to the sales taxes, we had our revenue was as good as it's ever been, which is an indicator that there are businesses thriving and that people are spending money.
Some of the governor's information coming out of Montgomery says that Mobile did well in the new capital investment, but not as well as some of the sister cities in job creation over the last year. Your feelings on that?
Well, I think that the job creation numbers will improve for the city of Mobile. Mobile is a kind of a manufacturing hub as well as a transportation and logistics hub. And a lot of the investment that's been made in some situations, it's installing technology which can be at the expense of jobs. But all in all, we ended up, I think, 6th in the state for job creation, and we were number 2 in the state for the amount of capital investment.
So your overall grade for
good.
the city of how you've weathered this unbelievable year of the pandemic?
Well, I would give us an A for how we, from an economic perspective, on how we weathered the pandemic.
And of course, as we look ahead now, a lot of good things in the mix as far as plans the city wants to see happen, as well as we'll talk about that, as well as a couple other issues this morning as we take a look at Mobile for the year 2020-2021. Our very special guest this morning, Mobile Mayor Sandy Stimpson. Perspectives continues in just a moment. Welcome back to Perspectives. Our guest this morning, Mobile Mayor Sandy Stimpson. Mayor Stimpson, when you ran for office the first time, you talked about being the safest city in America.
Yeah.
And of course, a recent spike in gun violence. How does that make you feel when you think about some of the things that have happened? It's like maybe one step forward and one step back as you try to address these things?
So, Eric, it certainly doesn't make you feel good to see what's happened with gun violence in the city of Mobile or in the state of Alabama, across the nation. You know, and we're always thinking about what are we doing that we can do differently in order to curb it. And so, as you are aware, recently we announced Operation Enough in the last couple of weeks. So we've taken about 25 guns off the streets, as well as made about that number of arrests. But it's an epidemic across the nation, and you know, whether part of it is due to being locked down for COVID, but the young people that have guns and access to guns is just crazy. You know, it's absurd, and for them to think that they are comfortable carrying guns and being able to shoot people, we're not going to tolerate it in the city of Mobile, and we're doing everything that we can from a collaboration standpoint with our federal partners as well as our state partners and within the city of Mobile to address that. You know, but it's going to take more than just a policing effort. It's got to be a community effort.
You talked about Operation Enough, as well as mentioning also the Mobile Police Department Street Enforcement Team. How do those two things work in collaboration with trying to make things better?
So there's one other group, and that's the gun enforcement, the gun initiative that we really started several years ago, Eric, when we bought the necessary equipment to be able to track and trace the ballistics associated with various guns. And so, but when you add all of that together, the thing that we can't put our finger on is how many crimes have we thwarted? How many have we been able to stop? And so, but in comparing ourselves to others, which really doesn't give you a warm, comfortable feeling when you have a homicide, just because somebody else, another one in another city had a homicide, you know, it doesn't make you realize, it doesn't make you feel better. But I will say this, that we know of nowhere in the nation that there's better collaboration and coordination with all the law enforcement agencies trying to stop that. And so we can't arrest our way out of this. We can't police our way out of this. There's got to be other things that we do. And one that comes to mind is that, you know, it's illegal for minors to carry guns. And there's so many parents, aunts and uncles, family members and friends that know that their friends, relatives are carrying guns, and at the end of the day, that is a very dangerous situation. And so we have got to have that feedback and that mindset change in our community that it's unacceptable. And until we as a community, and I'm talking about all of our citizens, agree that it's unacceptable to have the number of homicides and the gun violence that we have, until we have that, you know, I'm not sure what the future looks like. And to think of the illegal gun trafficking that just starts because somebody has left their car unlocked, they leave a gun in the car, and somebody comes and steals it. That steals it. That's where most of the guns are coming from. And so we need your help. But I can assure you, MPD is doing everything that we know how to do at this point. And if we can get a little better collaboration from our legislature and the court system to keep some of these individuals locked up who are doing the shooting, it will reduce the amount of shootings that we have.
You know, that point that you're talking about, the age of a lot of these people involved in the gun crimes today, just unbelievable. Mayor Stimpson, where is something working, that collaboration that you mentioned there with the community, law enforcement, of course, parents, the churches, where is that working better that we can model after to pull that into our area?
So over the last few days, I've been talking and in communication with the mayors of the 10 largest cities in the state of Alabama, and so we will be coming together in the next few weeks to share ideas. And I really don't know of a major city in the state of Alabama that has done anything that has reversed the gun traffic, the illegal gun trafficking, or the gun violence at this point in time. We're all seeing an upswing.
So we definitely have to pull the community into this when you talk about the schools, and everybody needs to be a part of making a change there. Let's move on to talking about body cameras for all of the Mobile police officers. And you firmly believe that will make a difference in making sure that the good cops are protected, as well as letting us know people that we need to deal with.
That's correct, Eric. We've seen, because of the number of body cams that our officers are currently wearing, we see that it's improved behavior on the part of the police, but we also see that those false accusations about what our police are doing, we can put a lot of those cases to rest, which we do. And so we very much are endorsing, this policy of all of our sworn officers wearing body cams, and it will help us from the standpoint of policing.
Is the city prepared for any type of fallout from the trial going on in Minnesota now with the former police officer Derek Chauvin? As you know, we did have some people come out expressing how they felt during the aftermath of the murder of George Floyd. Are you anticipating anything, and are you prepared for that?
So, Eric, we are always on alert to unexpected situations that may occur in other cities that would impact the city of Mobile. So yes, we monitor those situations just to make sure that we're prepared, and I would say that we are.
Let's talk about a couple of things. We're looking ahead. The I-10 Bayway, some new conversations, as well as Congressman Jerry Carl, he's on board, as well as you making a response to something that the governor also brought back up into the forefront. Where are we on that moving ahead?
Well, I do want to thank the governor for her taking the initiative to encourage Baldwin County and Mobile County for us to get together and come up with a plan. And through ALDOT, obviously they've got to put a plan before us. And so where it stands as we speak is that ALDOT is working with the Mobile South Alabama Regional Planning Commission, SARPC for short. They are redoing the modeling based on the new design, the new traffic counts, and once that modeling is complete, they will upload it into the system. They'll come up with the new plan, which they will send to the FHWA, and subject to FHWA's approval of the plan, then at that point in time, the Mobile Metropolitan Planning Organization can put it on the MPO can put it on their long-range plan. And once that's done, then I would say that we're off to the races, and that could be done within the next I will say 3 to 4 weeks.
Do you know if any money earmarked in that $2 trillion infrastructure bill that President Biden is talking about?
All the guidance on that bill, I'm not sure how it filters down to the bridge. I haven't had anyone with ALDOT or anywhere in our organization come in and say that somebody's decided to give us another $1 billion for the bridge. So we are proceeding based on what we know, and that is that we have a $125 million infra grant, and we've got an allocation from the state that will be added to it, and then that's where the toll for the trucks would come in to pay the rest of it.
Take about a minute and talk about Amtrak, hoping that they'll return next year, 2022. But you've had some comments made by Senator Shelby as well as Governor Ivey in relationship to working out those arrangements with CSX and Norfolk Southern. Where are you on this?
So if you go back to the initial conversation about Amtrak in the city of Mobile, the city council made it clear what it would take to get our involvement, and that was to get the report that was the collaborative report that was going to be done by the freight carriers plus Amtrak, and then based on that, then we would make our commitment. I think that the Senator Shelby very succinctly laid it out, as well as the governor did, about the state of Alabama, moving forward with the support for this project. Unlike maybe some other places, the port of Mobile, the port of Mobile, which is the state of Alabama's only deep seawater port, is so critical, not just to the commerce and business in the city, but also to the state.
Yes.
And it is nobody has shown us that it will not be negatively impacted. And until we know that from a study, then I think that you're going to see us kind of standing off to the side waiting to Amtrak and the freight carriers to get together on it.
Mayor Stimpson, we thank you for your time. Never enough time to talk about all the things that are on your plate, but I think we had the opportunity to share a lot of great information this morning. We thank you for joining us this Saturday on Perspectives.
Thank you for what you do, Eric. Appreciate it.
Now, next Saturday on Perspectives, how do you inspire positive change in a city, a county, a tri-state region? Well, leaders in coastal Alabama have developed a platform to increase civic awareness and engagement. They call it Coastal Conversations. World-class experts will address critical issues like diversity and inclusion, social justice, health, education, housing, the environment, infrastructure, and small business, just to name a few. All in part to accomplish a simple goal to make our region the best place to live, work, and play. Now, working together with community members, the mission is to address the challenges in our community and create positive change. Now, we'll talk to Chris Lee of the J.L. Betzel Foundation and Michael Chambers, the Executive Director of Coastal Conversations. Well, please join us here next Saturday morning at 9 a.m. for Perspectives as we discuss those issues and seek solutions. I'm Eric Reynolds. Have a great week ahead.
Thanks for watching Fox 10 News. Watch us live wherever you are on our mobile, our streaming news app, and you can also watch us on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV.